Alright, welcome back everybody. Finally found all the right parts I needed to put this back together. I took a Ziz wheel to the control arm, cleaned it all up, put a couple coats of paint on it, make it look really nice. You know, we don't want to go through all this trouble of taking a 1975 or 74 Camaro apart and not making it look like 2012 anyway, right? So what we're going to do now is I'm going to take these bushings, and I've got these sockets here. You can use anything you want, pipe or whatever. This is a 1 and 9/16, and I found that it fits the outside edge of the bushing rather well. It just fits in there great. I'm going to use that to protect the bushing while I put it in on the outside of my control arm. Now to protect my control arm, I've got a 1 5/8. And I'm going to put it on the outside. It swallows the bushing and will center around the hole. Now you have an option. Now you can either put this on the flat surface and strike here. I'll be using a brass hammer. I don't want to damage my sockets. Or you can brace it here and strike there. That's a little bit easier, but a little bit more awkward because you don't have a straight angle on it here unless you have a vise or something that you can put in the middle here. A lot of times you can come in with an angle with a 4x4 and do it, you know, pretty easy. It's not going to be extremely hard to knock these in. Just going to have to tap them a few times. So that's what I'm going to do now. Is I'm going to put the 2 bushings in on this one, and then show you what's next. So there it is, bushings all the way in. You'll see the little tits on it right there, and they're all the way up to the frame. It didn't take but about 5 or 6 licks. It went right in. Now, we only have in the 1 bushing. Why? Because we got to put in the bar. Put in the bar, both bushings now, you'll have to take one back out to get the bar in. What you do now is you'll take the bar, come in from the end, slide it in, and put it in to place. Take your other bushing, come over here, slide it on, and then you'll have to support this on the edge of your 4x4, your vise, whatever you're doing, and use your socket to drive this one in on it. Now before I do all that, I'm going to put a little bit of grease on this shaft, just a hair, and it's not so it'll slip, it's for easy installation. This will have no movement on it at all one time it's secured. That's why you have these little teeth on the end of the bushings there. They're actually going to bite on the end of the bar. And then of course on the opposite end the same thing. That's to hold the shaft still and to bite it on the bushing. That's what gives you that great resistance in your control arm, and really makes for a good ride. And I'm going to show you how to center that up for a good install after we get this in. So right now I'm going to grease it, put the bar in. Okay, so I got my bar in place. I put my other bushing on top here. What I'm going to do now is catch it right on the edge on this 4x4 post. I'm going to take my socket, put it on here. I'm going to beat it on. Just catch it on the edge. All the way down, nice and flat. Looking really good. Bars in. Looking great. Now we're going to slide these nuts and these washers on the end here, but I'm not going to tighten them up all the way just yet. And then we'll get to putting this thing back in. Alright, so I tightened up my nuts. These outside nuts here. I tightened them up, but I didn't tighten them in all the way. Reason being is I want this to still be able to turn without hitting onto them bite marks that I showed you on them bushings earlier. What I'm going to actually do is put this control arm in, tighten these bolts up really hard, you know, on the shims and everything. And then I'm going to set the car down on the ground. And after the car's on the ground, I'm going to reach in there with a wrench and I'm going to super tighten these up. to get a good bite on those bushings. That way when the car hits a bump and this control arm wants to travel up or down, it has a really good bite on that rubber bushing and provides a good bit of resistance here as well as in the shock. Now the shock comes up and bolts in right through here, so what I'm going to do now is just pause before I put this control arm back on, and I'm going to jump in there and put in a new set of shocks. Right there's the, already got a 9/16 socket sitting on it. Now if that shock doesn't want to break loose when I hit it with my air ratchet and it wants to spin this post here, the top of this post is offset. It has some cuts in it here, so you can actually slide a nice pair of vice grips on it. Don't catch the threads, just catch the post. They make a tool, but you can grab it with an adjustable wrench or a pair of vice grips and put a wrench on here to break it. I always spray these with a little bit of WD before I get started. It just helps the process. But as you can tell, these shocks are gone. These bushings here are just gone. I also got a set of upper control or sway bar bushings for it as well. So when we're putting in these sway bar bushings, new tie rod ends, new all kinds of stuff's going on here. But now we're going to do the shocks. I'm going to show you. Take out this 9/16 nut, and then on the bottom of the shock, down here on the bottom side of the control arm up underneath, there's 2 1/2 inch. So you'll have to take out them 2 1/2 inch, and then the shock will drop out through the bottom. And I have the lower control arm supported so it doesn't all want to come apart on me when I take it out. That's what I'm going to do now, is remove that shock. Out with the old and in with the new. These old shocks, as you can tell, I mean, it's already collapsed, but if I smash it down, it won't even come back out. I mean, the gas is just gone out of it. Very difficult. Sit here and look at that thing expanding, pushing itself on back. That's the way it should do. This shock is just gone. This guy's really gonna love what I'm doing to this car. But now I'm gonna take this shock with the new bushings provided, and I'll put that in, and then I'll show you what's up, and we'll do next. And there she is, all installed, looking good. So we're gonna take that control arm now that we done hooked all up and made pretty, and we're gonna slide it in and over the top. Rest it right there. Now we're going to go up to the top side and put in our bolts and our nuts. And remember the shims. Remember the shims that we put laid out so we would remember where they go? We're going to put those shims back in their respective sides. And we're going to tighten all that down. Right there's our control arm. We're going to put in our nuts and our shims right now. Bolt her up. And there you have it. I supported the lower control arm out there at the ball joint as far as I could. I use these 4x4 posts instead of a jack stand, and there's my upper control arm installed. The reason I put it on the outside ball joint, it picks the upper control arm up just a hair bit more so you can make this union good and you don't end up having to wrench that in all the way. Be sure and put your fresh cotter pin on there, and because we have it sitting out here on the lower ball joint and I'm happy with the positioning of the wheel there, I'm going to go ahead and tighten up on the rear or on the outside edges of the control arm on those nuts to go ahead and get me a good bite on those bushings. And then when the weight comes down on it with the tire on the outside, it'll go up maybe another inch, but that helps provide good downward pressure for when you hit a bump, that you don't go bouncing all the way up and everything. Shock's going to hold it down. That's going to hold it from jumping up. And so there you have it, upper control arm bushings and shocks. I hope y'all enjoyed this little we're going to rebuild a Camaro video. This is stage 1. We're going to get into the upper control arm bushings, the front A-frame, actually the A-frame bushings to the body. We're going to be doing those too. So keep your eyes open for more videos to come.